welcome back to the Apple Barn. Today we're going to be looking at repairing our selector box and adjusting the gears on the Vespa so that they select better. But first I need to turn the Vespa around on a ramp. So what we have to do first is remove this top little cover. This cover protects the cables. They have a push-pull cable to operate the selector box, and it protects it from road, dirt, grime and possibly getting jammed up by something. So we take this Allen key off. There we go, little Allen key, put it there, and we remove this cover. There you go, and we can see some cables on the inside. I'm going to remove the cables after I've taken the selector box out, and that will get me away from the fan cover housing and a bit more space. There's two 11mm bolts to hold the selector box on, but it also inside here is oil, so you need to have a catch tray underneath. The lubricant for the gearbox is in there. Go. The selector box cables are held on with two little clamps, and they are two little 6mm nuts threaded into an 8mm sort of barrel carrier, and that clamps the cable. As you can see, a little bit of tension gone there. That's one. Try and get this cable out. That cable's actually got some quite severe damage, so I'm going to try and remove it without damaging the cable, but I think we may have to replace it. And we did manage to get our little barrel lockers off, and they're the things that were holding the cable on. They'd been over tightened and rotated and damaged the cable. So now we are going to have to replace the cables. They're pretty inexpensive, and it's a good thing to do if you're doing this job anyway, but it does mean we have to go up into the handlebar set or the headset. So I can remove the selector box. I've put a piece of tape on the inner cable, and when it comes to assembly, that's going to make it easier for me to put it back together. When I came off the little bike, I damaged this. So I always tell my students that when you take a part off, if you can make it better in any way, when you're putting it back on, do it, especially if it's your own hot rod, your own car, a modified car, a classic car, or something, or bike that you're into. So we're going to try and clean this up, make it look better. We will then have to re-grease and clean the whole mechanism because there's going to be loads of dust and grime from the filing and reshaping that we do before we put it back on the bike. But for now, let's see if we can clean this up. And the selector box came out really well. There was a lot of sanding and grinding off camera, but you got the gist of it. Basically all I've used is the wire wheel and the buffing wheel and some sanding paper on a oscillating disc or a DA. And I really like it. But before we put it back on, we've got to sort the cables out. So what I want to do now is take the speedo cover off, or the headset cover. If any of you Vespa guys who actually know what you're talking about have got the proper names for these, please feel free to leave it in the comments. The reason I'm taking it off is because I was going to order some cables, and apparently there are two different types. There is a mushroomed cable that you have a little sort of barrel that slots onto the cable and the mushroom holds it on. And the standard barrel cable, which I'm sort of used to on all motorbikes, that clips into your clutch lever and so on. But I don't know which one's which on this anyway, so we are going to have a quick look. And hopefully that will stop us ordering the wrong thing. However, I am known for ordering the wrong thing. I've done that quite a lot. I've only recently been into Vespas. I've only had this for about a year, maybe just over. I really like them, but I don't know a lot about them, and I'm learning every day. So if there is anything you guys see that I'm doing wrong, or saying that it's wrong, please feel free to correct me. Right. Okay. Now they look like standard barrel cables. And while we're on the subject of me being corrected, or needing to be corrected, last week I made a mistake. I said that these S1 scooter tyres had a speed rating of J, which they do have, and it was 100 miles an hour. Now that's incorrect. It's 100 kilometres an hour and 62 miles an hour. So someone was kind enough to pick me up on that. Don't worry, you will be correcting me a lot as we go on through this journey. And the next thing to do is put the selector box back on. But we can't do it yet because we haven't got the cables. Also, I've ordered some of these, which are new adjusters for the selector box, a filler and a drain plug for the gearbox, and a new gasket. So we'll show you that soon. If you've liked what you've seen today, please chuck us a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you soon in the apple barn.